Hey guys, real quick before we get started, we're doing a free giveaway for listeners between now and September 5th. We will be giving one lucky winner free access to our live 8-week training program valued at $3,000. All you have to do to qualify is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. Then send a screenshot to Jordan at thehideaways.co and we will select the lucky winner on September 5th. As always, we appreciate the support. Now let's jump into the show.
Right. So now instead of people that go to the gorge and are looking for a place to stay and then seeing ours and saying, hey, that's a really cool place to stay. I want to do that. We're opening it up to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? All these eyeballs that never would have seen us before. And because it's unique, it stands out. It's odd looking, right? They're like, what is this? And all we have to do, that thumb stop ratio, all we have to do is get them to stop.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hideaways Show, Behind the Curtain edition. We are back behind the computer in the office setting, and I must admit, it really does feel nice. Mike, how are we doing today? And the million-dollar question, are you surviving all the chigger bites?
Bro, I am good in the office. We talked a lot about it last week, but like being here with like the screens and your familiarity and a printer and a scanner and a trash can, like it's amazing how much those little things impact your like mental fortitude as you work through the day.
Sure.
So that is good. The chiggers are surprisingly not as bad as I thought they would be. They itch, but I'm gonna say like I have a weird what's the right word for it? Like satisfaction. Like when I start scratching those things, Cord will come in the room and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm like, it feels so good. So I did it yesterday and I was like, I looked down and my hand is just bloody because all of them are scattered and coming off. I was like, well, that's not good. So, but yes,
Dude,
we did get chiggers. We walked 300 acres last week.
and I knew I made a huge mistake the moment I pulled up and I was in the circle talking to everyone and I just go like this. And I'm like, I'm the only moron that decided to wear shorts as we're going to go walk 300 acres in the timber. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I asked for it.
Yep. But good news to you. You are the only one in shorts and you are one of 4 that got chiggers. Probably the worst. But you're one of 4 because everyone else also got them. I think we walked through a nest.
Oh, dude. I think when Josie was doing, for reference, Josie is Mike's dog. When she had the zoomies and was running through, she probably got bit by one and she just had the chigger zoomies and she was going. But like we were probably just standing there and they were crawling up, biting our feet. Dude, my right foot, last thing on the chiggers, my right foot is absolutely covered. Like I was like, I itched one day and I looked down there and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're everywhere. I've never had chigger bites before, so I didn't know what to expect. But like right when I saw them, I'm like, I think that's what they are. And then you texted me and I'm like, yep, confirmed. That's exactly what they are. So
oh, dude, they're bad. And they get pretty gnarly for like a week and then they just disappear. But
yeah. Hey, it's nature of the beast. And we had a great week last week being on site, walking a bunch of land, a lot of exciting opportunities out in Kentucky. A lot to be excited about, I will say, in Kentucky right now. Especially with our cabin, the Stoic, with the new addition there. I want to kind of keep that momentum going from yesterday's Build Your Hideaway Facebook group call. If you're not a part of that, I will include the link to that in our show notes after the show here. But want to continue that conversation. We've seen a big bump, I will say, in our reservations at the Stoic. Can you share with our listeners, for those who don't know what's happening at the Stoic, share with them what's going on, and let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So we added a hot tub. Jordan and I came up with an idea a long time ago to add a hot tub to the Stoic. I think the hot tub itself is not all that impressive. But as we looked at it, as we met the handyman, as we were like walking around last visit, we decided to, thanks to a suggestion from the handyman, actually from the builder that did it, we decided to put the hot tub on top of 15-foot tall, 20-foot tall boulder. So we have behind the house, there's a boulder that's fallen off the cliff back in the prehistoric age and it just settled somewhere. And as we looked at it, we're like, well, we could put a deck on the lower level, wrap some stairs up the side, and then put another platform on the top and put a hot tub up there where people can sit literally higher than the house and overlook the entire valley that we're next to. And it came out amazing. It looks so good.
Dude, every time I look at pictures of it, I'm truly just like in awe. And I think back to the time we were sitting there. Don't mind me, I'm down here itching my trigger. When we were there, I remember it. Like we had coffees in hand. We just gotten back from the Brick, which is the coffee shop there in the Gorge, and we were sitting there. And I remember you and I had the idea, and we were going back and forth. Like we were trying to get on the same page of what we were saying, but we were saying the same thing but different. And I could tell Martin was just looking at us, going like going back and forth. And then he just all of a sudden spit out. He's like, well, what if we just put it up there? Like, what if we just put it up on the boulder? And light bulb went off for both of us. And it's like, one, you can do that. And he goes, yeah. And it's like, two, it's an amazing idea.
Yeah.
And
it's incredible.
It turned out. And I mean, when he said that, it's like, hey, if you can make it happen, hey, let's go for it.
So I want to pull up real quick the numbers of going through that, because I think everybody hears these things and they're like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like, did it work? Right? Like it's a neat idea. It's pretty. The photos are great. You got a ton of impressions. Fantastic. Who cares? Right? And the big thing for me is we launched this cabin last September, and it was the end of last September. So we weren't live in August to compare August to August, but October is the highest revenue month that we have in all of our properties right now on the East Coast, but especially in the Gorge. Every single person says that, like, get ready for busy season in October. We are last month. So last October, just to look, we did 4,700 in revenue, just over. Last month, which is not our peak month, we did 6,100. The only thing that changes is the hot tub, right? Well, minus like our incredible customer service and operations and systems and all that.
And amazing photos, but unique stacking, as we like to call it.
Yeah. But $6,100. So I don't even know what the percentage on that is, but it's a huge jump. But in addition to that, our occupancy went from around 41%. Again, first month that we ever launched after acquiring it. So we had no reviews, we had no anything else, because they didn't give us their Airbnb account. We just added everything to ours. But that being said, we went to 77% occupancy with this hot tub, and we haven't even hit October yet. So my anticipation right now is that we should break eight or 8,500 for October, given the daily rates that we're seeing. You want to tell them about that reservation we got the other day?
Oh my gosh. As I'm the type, when reservation comes in, my first thing that I look at is expand details, because I want to make sure our pricing model is actually working. And boy, was our revenue management model working well for us for that reservation. It came through, and for a 2-bed, 1-bath, 420 square foot Scandinavian Nordic cabin with a hot tub on the backside, it brought in I think it was like $720 per night.
Yep.
For this cabin.
You said you're like, that's $1,400, and I was like, that's cool. They're there for like the week or what? And you're like, nope. It's like what was it? Like, it was Thursday through Saturday. Yeah,
it was literally 2 nights, which is, to me, like, again, I would never pay for that. I really wouldn't. But at the same point in time, like, we are providing, and we talk about this all the time, we're providing this experience for people that guests from across the country are willing to come stay and experience it. If you can showcase, like I said, if you could showcase through photos and content, it's one thing to have a cool hot tub like that on top of a boulder, but then if no one knows about it, then no one's going to come and book. Oh, it was also direct. It wasn't through the OTAs, which was even better. I'd be curious to know if they found us through social, because we've been seeing a big uptick in social. But yeah, 720 per night. I'm trying to think. That might be I think maybe I have one reservation at the A-frame that's done a little bit better. But to say, like, the A-frame's a 3.2, and I'm sitting over here saying that 720 is the second best daily nightly rate that we've gotten on a small cabin.
So we're talking about these places though, and when we're comparing notes with some of these like specialty unique cabins that are booked out 2 years in advance, their rates are $600 to $900.
Right.
Every time I look at them, they're $600 to $900. When you look at some of the best Airbnbs in the country, that's what they're charging, with the exception of like the Apollo Cave, which is $1,000, right? But at the same time, like, their weekday nights are the same rates as what we just got for that at this 2-1. Like it's incredible what that attention gets you. Like we
Right.
talked about it. We talked about it recently, Jordan, where it's like the this unique stacking concept. It's not just fun. Like it is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like to have a really sexy Airbnb that people are like, oh, that's yours. Like that's the question. That's my favorite question all the time. I show it to people and they're like, that's yours. And I'm like, yeah, sort of, minus the investment, because whatever. But yes. And it's the coolest thing ever, because it, instead of just making it pretty and instead of making it like stand out and having good photos and having this stuff, what we're actually doing is opening up our market. Right. So now, instead of people that go to the gorge and are looking for a place to stay and then seeing ours and saying, hey, that's a really cool place to stay, I want to do that, we're opening it up to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? All these eyeballs that never would have seen us before. And because it's unique, it stands out, it's odd looking, right? They're like, what is this? And all we have to do, that thumb stop ratio, all we have to do is get them to stop and be like, what is this? And then as they look into it and they see all the different photos and all the different posts that we've done and whatnot, then they're like, wait, I'm actually interested in this. I want to go there. So what we've done is we've flipped the market on its head. And instead of people being in Kentucky or wanting to go to Kentucky and then finding a place to stay, now there's people that are in Washington, New York, California, Florida, wherever, that are seeing it and saying, hey, I want to visit this place, right? And all you need is that inception of an idea.
Dude, it's so true. And we've, again, sticking with the social concept where, I think of it as we've gotten a big uptick in reservations at the Stoic as a result of, unique stacking, the hot tub, all of that. What it's also doing is continuing to bring an increased attention to all of our cabins, including the other two at Rock Haven. And people are asking on social, they're like, I live in Lexington. I didn't even know this existed. Where is it at? I had like 5 people yesterday ask me that. And that right there is so exciting, because now you're tapping into people who didn't even realize that you were 45 minutes, an hour down the road from them living in Lexington, and they can go experience that. Like that to me is so exciting, to where this model of, not just putting it on Airbnb and, hoping for the best, and email marketing, we're still doing that. That's a huge part of what we do. But area that is untapped for a lot of investors, and some people just don't have the time or want to invest the time, is through these social channels. Now, I will admit you have to do it the right way. You can't just grab your phone and try to, pan a video of a room or the outside. You have to get someone who knows how to capture these moments, but then it's just sharing it with the world. And then when they ask, making sure your profile is set up correctly with the link, and then just continue to grow that. And I'm very excited, because I think we are just, the tip of the iceberg with what we can do with social, to where we are going to get to one of these accounts that has 100, 200, 300,000 followers. That's going to just drive so many direct bookings to all of our cabins. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to be like the place in Hocking Hills where they don't even have an Airbnb or VRBO account set up. They're 100% direct, and they have a calendar full until basically the beginning of 2026, which is just mind-boggling,
Yep. We're already at 200% of our last high on direct bookings right now, and 300% over the last 3 months. So it's definitely working. Yeah.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And it's just continuing to lean into this concept of being unique. And like we said, it doesn't necessarily have to, a lot of people are like, well, my property isn't built unique. It's just it's a house. But what you can do is you can take components of it and make it unique, right? And that's what we did with the hot tub. Because we easily could have just took a deck, put a hot tub on the back, ta-da, there it is, put some string lights. And that would have been, I shouldn't say probably, it would have increased the revenue on it. But would have increased the revenue to the level that we're seeing now? The answer is more than likely no. Well, just because...
A lot of the people that I'm talking to are asking, like, what's the, is it worth the added expense, the added headache to do it in that manner? And my answer is kind of like, it's not worth doing not that way. Right? Like if we're going to add a hot tub and we're going to add $15 on per reservation and 2% occupancy, and we're going to pay that hot tub back over the next 4 years, your cash on that's not great. Right? This thing is going to pay itself back easily in 2 years, if not under. Right. So for me, I'm like, that's incredible. And all of the other units are benefiting because of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I will say we're unique in that stand that we have 2 other properties, or 2 other cabins on the lot of land, just 200 feet away. So that just reminded me when we were going out and trying to figure out how are we going to fund the hot tub. I remember asking people like for ideas, and I had so many people. The social haters really came out strong and heavy. They were like, "Why would you spend, over I can't remember how much what their amount was on a hot tub? You're never going to pay that back in time to get a good return on it." And I think from their perspective, I guess to defend them in a way, they weren't looking at it from a unique perspective. They were assuming we're going to take hot tub, basic hot tub, plop on backup cabin, take pictures, ta-da, we got a hot tub. I agree that that probably would have taken a significant amount of time to pay back. Now the expense would have been lower, but that's where these unique amenities, designs, concept come into play that really increases and ramps up the speed at which you can pay these back to where get that paid off, then that revenue bump is there indefinitely, and then just rinse and repeat that over and over at each property and continuing to stack these unique concepts.
One of my favorite like mental shifts or psychological shifts was a dance crew that I saw on like So You Think You Can Dance or something like that, some crazy show from a while ago. That basically said they stopped thinking about the complications of choreography and they started looking at everything. How do I do this? I don't know how to do this, but they started looking at,
you were doing it right.
yeah, everything through this lens. And they were like, if this is what the camera sees, then the 100 people in the audience don't matter, but the 100 million people that are going to see this on TV do. Right. And what they changed is like the different motions that they were doing from a 2D perspective, and they dominated everything. It was insane to like watch it. And if you saw it from the side, it wouldn't have been anything super technical. And it just goes to show that like you don't have to overcomplicate it. I think that's what we've done here is like break everything down into its component parts, right? So first thing that you're going to do is get their attention, right? Does a hot tub get their attention? No, not anything more than any other listing that's in the gorge, right? But does that get their attention? Absolutely, right?
Yeah, it's that thumb stop ratio, and it's literally getting people to be like, oh my gosh, what is that? Click into our listing, and then we got them. I'm very confident once they get to our listing that they're, sure, they're going to go look at other ones, and if maybe they don't want to spend $500-600 a night, that's fine. They weren't the right guest for us. But the most time, once we get them to their listing, I can guarantee you, our cabin is floating around in the back of their head. They're like, well, these two are over here. They're a little bit cheaper, but man, that one with a hot tub, like that thing is just cool. And I can tell you, people are just, I think it lingers long enough to where we grasp their attention and get them to book and increase revenue. So I'm excited for it. And I think also you don't have to boil the ocean with, everything. So for example, we could have looked at the Stoic and been like, okay, it's the bottom performer. We need a hot tub. We need to do it unique. We need to redo the design. We need to do this. And if we had done that, sure, could have increased revenue, 2 or 3 times, sure. But we also wouldn't have been able to track what was it? Was it the hot tub? Was it the cool mural on the wall? Was it, was it the photos? We don't know. Now I can tell you we did a 1-2 punch with photos and the hot tub because I think that makes a significant difference. But it just goes to show that you can implement these one piece at a time. So do the hot tub. Yep. Great. Okay. Now how can we look at this cabin? How can we make it even more unique? Is that a mural, or is it moved down the road to the next cabin, rinse and repeat with hot tub? Because we saw great success with it, which I think is definitely the answer. And our handyman, I think, is starting to question whether we are actually
his life choices.
Dude, when he looked at you, when you told him, you're like, where do you want the next one? You're like, I want it right there. And he's like, he thought you were joking. I could tell by the look on his face. And he was like, he's not joking. He wants it in between the cliff and the boulder that's next to the cabin. You thought the one
we're going to have to like helicopter drop that one in, dude.
Oh my gosh. Dude, with that one. Don't get me wrong. The Stoic one is really cool. I think if they can do the hot tub with a deck in between the cliff and the boulder, I think that one could just blow people's socks off.
So that's another part of unique stacking that I think is very underrated is if you have owned, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, boring houses in suburban neighborhoods that are renting great for your whole life, then finding the most unique thing ever is going to be really challenging. But if you find one unique thing, then I guarantee you by the time you implement that, you're going to be like, wait, what about this? Right. And there's going to be another one. Then your Instagram algorithm is going to change. And then your friends are going to start saying different things. And then you're going to start getting sent other examples of random properties around the world. And then all of a sudden your life is going to be surrounded by these ideas where it's like, you can't stop. It's like everything
Yep.
I look at, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if? Right. And then
Mhm.
we, unfortunately or fortunately, have found the crew to build all that. And
Yeah.
I don't know how or why they do it. They're amazing, and they're insane at the same time. But that being said, if you do it one piece at a time, right? I promise the ideas will continue to flow, because that's exactly like you said. When we started talking about the next one, I was like, dude, this is gonna dwarf what we did at the Stoic.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
and that's that 1-2 punch to where,
yeah,
we have 3 cabins there. If we can rinse and repeat that, 3 times over, I don't know what we'll do at the Taoist, but we'll see. I think we can come up with a cool idea with that. Um, but I will say, and I'm glad you mentioned it, is you don't have to do this yourself. I'll admit, like if you had been like, Jordan, you and I should build a hot tub in between the boulder there. Could we do it? Great. Probably. Would it have taken 9 to 12 months? Very likely. Would it have been done to the level we wanted it to be? Probably not. Like,
no,
and it would have cost us twice as much. So it's one of those where find a solid crew, your boots on the ground team, have conversations,
yeah,
build relationships with these people, and then, find a team that's willing to, think outside the box and do these unique amenities, these unique components that you can add to your properties. Because I can tell you right now, it'll totally change the game. And I'm so thankful for the crew we have, because it would be disappointing to have a handyman be like, can you build that? And they just go, no. Like, that's not the relationship and business we want to run. We're trying to surround ourselves with people who love this concept of being unique, standing out. And we've found our team, we've found our builders, all that stuff. I think we're really starting to catch our stride. And, look, a
yeah.
year from now, it's going to be
Cool.
completely different. It's going to be
Yeah,
very, very exciting.
I'm stoked.
Yeah,
I'm so stoked.
it's and again, there there's so many different things you can do with it. I'm excited to see round out the year to really see what the Stoic can do from a revenue standpoint. I'm actually almost more excited to see if it doesn't help us uptick January and February as those being our slowest
Yeah,
months. Now, granted, we can't combat if it decides to snow every single week and people can't get down to the cabins. Then you could have the nicest property down there unless you provide. Hey, I got an idea. We could talk to Martin. Snowmobiles at the top of the hill that people can take down,
yes.
zip down. Dude, that would be sweet.
There you
I
go.
again, I don't think that's going to be possible, but
That, or
I'm curious.
we could just put, it's just one turn. We could just put like a pulley system and just
There we
have them
go,
sled down on a little pulley, sled back up.
dude.
I told you I want to get a winch. Maybe that's what I need it for.
You're just looking for an excuse to get a winch. That's fine. We can
I
do
think
that.
I've got 5 now. I'm pumped.
Yeah, you got enough now. You can do what you need to.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it'll be very interesting because I think that's the biggest thing with those cabins is there's not a fireplace inside, which that's something we need to talk about more is figuring out how we can't make the inside. I will say like cozier for those winter months. It's great for fall. It's great for summer. It's great for spring when people are out and about hiking. But when it's cold and people want to snuggle up in front of the fire or go use the hot tub, that's where I think it's going to really change the game.
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
January and February going to be our. They got to be a lot better than they were last winter, but that's snow in Kentucky and 16% grade hills do not go well together. I'll
Yeah,
just
they
say that.
don't mix. They
No,
don't mix at all with
no.
gravel.
Oh my gosh, that's. I remember looking at the weather app. They're like, it's going to snow, right? And I'm like, again, I'm from Iowa, so it's like, snow is
Cool.
snow. Now, granted, I'm not
Yeah.
from where it snows a foot or two, but we do get 8 to 10 inches, and that's a good amount, and we get around just fine. They're like, it's going to be 3 to 4 inches. I'm like, no problem. But I always forget they don't have equipment. They don't prep the roads. They don't salt them. They don't do any of that stuff. So it's a different beast out there. But
Yeah.
I still love Kentucky. Still love the gorge. I think there's a lot of potential there that we are just going to keep leaning into and tapping into. So
Yep.
should be
Yep.
good. So, but other than that, have you seen anything out there that's caught your eye? Something unique, something different, something that just makes you like, I want to do that.
Dude, you know what I saw the other day that like got me, that it wasn't the thing that did it. It's the fact that it could not have been more than $30 to build, but it transformed is a deck on this deck, transformed the entire deck. And I was like, dude, that is the thumb stop ratio, like stopper right there. If we have that and that's on our first photo and people see it, they're like, whoa, I want to see more of that. Right? Like, what
Yep.
is this? It was I was scrolling through and there's this place in North Georgia that has on the patio a swing, but the swing is made out of, it's like 2x4s or 1x4s, like super basic pine boards with ropes that I think are 30 feet tall and go up to the all the way to the ceiling of
Oh
the
yeah.
porch, and then like a net in the middle of it. So it's like a hammock style swing. And then next to it, they have it's a 2-story deck. And I think that was out of necessity, not out of like function. So it looks really good the way that they did it. But what they did is, again, uniquifying it, if that's a word. They took a round hot tub and they just cut, like with a jigsaw, a circle, half circle in the deck. So the higher part of the deck had the circle. They pushed the tub into it. So it was half out and half in the deck. So if you're on the upper level, you can just slide right in. If you're on the lower level, you use the little step and you jump in there. And then the swing goes by that on the other side. And I was like, this is the easiest thing. Like, you could literally do both of those things in less than an hour for less than $30. But the fact that they had that vision and then installed it in such a clean way, I was like, this is exactly who I want, like, building my stuff.
And I think to that point, it doesn't necessarily need to be thousands of dollars to make your property unique. That right there, pictures, I tell you, my wife would eat that up for whatever reason. She loves hammocks. I'm not a fan of hammocks. I think because once I get in, I struggle to get in, but once I'm in, I can't get out. Like,
Yep.
now maybe it was the strong net, so I wouldn't sink as much, but they are cool. And I will say this, you know, the fact that it seems weatherproof, right? To where like it's not
Yep.
going to get soaking wet to where it's like, oh, I can't use it because it rained yesterday, right? Because
Yep.
we built 2 giant daybed swings for down in Texas. Found some Etsy YouTube video. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what we need, and they turned out great. I built them. I was very impressed with them. Followed everything. Yeah, I was. I was like, wow, this actually turned out for once. Would I do it again? Probably not, because it took me way longer than I wanted it to. But the only downside with that is they're comfy, they look good, and they look great in photos. But it's a day bed that has a mattress on it, and we struggled to find a liner that would keep it from getting moisture in. So I mean, we had a waterproof like mattress cover, because it was actually a mattress cover over it, and then an outdoor weatherproof cover, and it still would get wet, which just didn't work. So the fact that it's a net, and it seems significantly what a square or rectangle, attach that together, run the netting across, run the rope up, do some eye hooks up above, loop it through,
Yep.
and you're done. Like,
Yep.
it's again, it doesn't need to be difficult, and that's an interesting concept. Now, the cutting a hot tub into the deck, that's a little bit more complicated, but you don't need to start there. You really don't.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
I'm with you, dude.
yeah,
I don't know. It's, to me, it's like when people are like, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, doesn't have to be. It is if you make it. If your brain goes to expensive, then change the way you're thinking about it.
right. And it's a lot of people will look. I think people get hung up and they get scared when they think unique. And for whatever reason, I feel like when the people think that, they're like, oh, well, I need to have a property in the Smokies or Destin or these places, and then try to make it unique. And I will admit, if you're going to do that, it's probably going to cost you a lot of money, because you're going to have to do something that's just up and beyond. Hot tubs are a requirement. It's not anything unique. You just have to have one. A lot of those, you also have to have game rooms. And
Yeah.
I know the Smokies do well and continues to do well. I just don't think I could ever see myself investing there, just because it's like, I mean, the best of the best investors are there, and your competition level is just so increased. And I mean, how many do you even know how many rentals are in the Smoky Mountains? I feel like it's like,
So
I don't know if this is
in
a dumb number.
Blue Ridge alone, there's over 10,000 Airbnbs within like a 30-minute drive
Oh
of Blue
boy,
Ridge. Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that right there is another reason where come into these markets that are up and coming and build something unique and stand out. It's a lot easier to stand out, get to the top of that market, as opposed to first property going to the Smokies. Sure, it may be easier to get reservations initially, because one, Airbnb gives you the bump, and two, it's a popular market. But I can tell you, if you just don't keep up in those markets, it's going to become very difficult. You're going to get pushed to the bottom 10%
Yep.
and quickly get pushed out. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people will do that. Like, oh, I just need a property. I need to list it. I need to have it in the Smokies, put it on Airbnb, kick back, and things will take care of itself. And unfortunately, those are the
Nope.
people that fail within 9 months and go, Airbnb doesn't work, Airbnb bust, it's over, it doesn't work. That I will agree, it doesn't work if you do that. It worked during COVID, it doesn't work now. And that's where we're seeing this model of being unique, providing stays that are truly experiences themselves in up and coming markets. Could be, we like to go secluded, doesn't necessarily have to be. We've seen great success with that. So it's, again, it's an untapped area within the world of short-term rental investing, and I'm happy to be going down that journey with you, and big things to come, that's for sure. So
Yes,
once
sir.
some of these projects that we have on the happening behind the scenes, once those kind of develop a little bit more, I'm excited to share more with the
We got
audience of what we
so
got going
much to
there.
talk about.
Oh my God. If the stars align, I will say, with these projects we got coming down the pipeline, it's going to be big time. It really is.
Dude,
So.
I like the imagery of the stars align, because I see what we did last week as like sprinting out to a star that's out of line and carrying it back and putting it right here, and then running out to get the next one and then putting it right here. It's like the stars will align. I
Hey,
promise.
I I will admit there are times where the stars seem to all over the place. You got to grab them and realign them, but it's like, man, things are really coming together now. I think
Dude,
I've said,
you know what last week was? You know what last week was with that? You said they're all over the place. It's us looking at the stars in a line from the side. And it's like they don't
hey,
look like they're in line at all. And all of a sudden last week we just go here and it's like, wait, there it is right there.
uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's awesome. I'm excited for it. Big things coming, and once we have more on that, we'll share it through our social channels, our Build Your Hideaway Facebook group. Again, if you're not a part of that, you should be. And I will include the link to that within our show notes. It's a great group. We're starting to get a lot of cool people that come on those calls twice a week and just essentially talk shop, talk unique, and answer people's questions. And I think we're getting a nice core group there. So if you want to be a part of
Yeah.
a cool group, I highly recommend joining.
Yeah. And it's free. I think
Yeah,
that's the best part.
that's the best part. It's like one of those where, you know, it's just nice to connect with good people that
Yeah.
are for the aligned with what we're thinking, and just, yeah, great investors, great people. So,
Yeah.
alrighty. Well, with that, that does it. Another edition of the Hideaway Show Behind the Curtain. Mike, as always, I appreciate the time, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.